The school bag hits the floor by the door. The shoes come off, the snack disappears in about 45 seconds, and then the parent asks the question, the same question asked every single afternoon. Do you have any homework tonight? And the child, without missing a beat, without so much as a flicker of hesitation, says, nope, nothing today. And the evening rolls on. Dinner happens, screen time happens, bedtime happens. And then, the next morning, or the next week, or at the worst possible moment, the truth surfaces. There was homework. There has been homework for 3 days running, and none of it got done because a child looked a parent in the eye and said, nothing today, as smoothly as breathing. This video is going to give parents the exact words to say when a child lies about having no homework. Not just how to handle the moment of discovery, but how to have the conversation that actually changes the behavior going forward, without turning the house into a courtroom and without destroying the trust that makes a child willing to be honest in the first place. Before getting to the words, it helps to understand why children lie about homework specifically, because it is worth separating this from general dishonesty. A child who lies about homework is almost never doing it out of malice. They're doing it because the path of least resistance in that moment is to say no and buy themselves an evening of freedom. They're doing it because the homework feels overwhelming and avoidance feels like relief. They're doing it because they tried once to say, I don't understand the assignment, and the response felt more stressful than the homework itself. And sometimes, more often than parents expect, they're doing it because they are genuinely afraid of what happens when the work is bad, when the grade is low, when the parent sees that they are struggling. Lying about homework is almost always a symptom of something underneath it. The lie itself is the surface. What a parent says in response to the lie determines whether they ever get to see what is below it. Here's what most parents say when they discover the lie, and why it tends to make things worse over time. The first response is confrontational. You told me you had no homework. That was a lie. Why would you lie to me? This puts the child immediately on trial. The instinct is to defend, deflect, or shut down, not to open up about the real reason. The parent learns nothing. The child learns to lie more carefully next time. The second response is consequences first. You're grounded. No screens until every piece of missing work is handed in. Consequences have a place in this conversation, but when they arrive before understanding, they feel arbitrary and punitive to the child. The message received is not lying has consequences, it is getting caught has consequences. That's a very different lesson, and it teaches children to focus on not getting caught rather than on being honest. The third response is the guilt approach. I trusted you. Do you know how that makes me feel? Again, this comes from a real and valid place, but it shifts the weight of the problem onto the child's shoulders in a way that breeds shame rather than reflection. Shame closes children down. It does not open them up towards honesty. So here's what to say instead. When the missing homework comes to light, whether it's discovered that evening, the next day, or in an email from a teacher, the first conversation begins not with accusation, but with a very deliberate pause. Sit down with the child. Keep the voice calm and even, and say this, I found out there was homework you told me you didn't have. I'm not going to yell, but I do want to understand what happened. Tell me. Tell me, 2 words that do more than any accusation. They signal that the parent is genuinely curious rather than simply angry, and a child who senses curiosity rather than fury is far more likely to actually say something true. Whatever the child says next, whether it's a partial truth, a full confession, or another attempt at deflection, listen without interrupting. Then respond with this. Okay, I hear you. Now I want to ask you something honestly, and I want an honest answer. Was it that you forgot, or was it that you didn't want to do it, or was it that something about it felt too hard? This question is important because it offers the child 3 exits from the corner they're standing in, and none of them are shameful. Forgetting is human. Not wanting to do something is human. Finding something hard is human. The parent is not asking the child to confess to being bad. They are asking the child to identify what actually happened. And most children, when given language that doesn't condemn them, will tell the truth. Once the child has answered, once the real reason has been identified, the conversation shifts. If it was avoidance, say, I get it. Nobody wants to do homework after a full day of school. But here's the thing. Lying about it doesn't make the homework go away. It just makes it bigger and adds something else on top of it. Next time, just tell me it feels like too much. We can figure something out together. If it was difficulty or fear of failure, say, if the work is hard and you don't know how to do it, I need you to tell me that. That is not something to hide. That is something I can actually help with. I would much rather know you're struggling than find out later that you've been carrying it alone. These responses do something that punishment alone cannot. They give the child a different path next time. They replace the lie with an alternative that feels safe. Because children don't lie to their parents because they enjoy deceiving them. They lie because honesty has not yet felt safe enough, or easy enough, or worth it. The parent's job is to make honesty feel like the better option. Now, there's still the matter of the missing homework itself and the behavior of lying. Both need to be addressed, just not in the same breath as the emotional conversation. Once the child has been heard and the real reason has surfaced, then say clearly and without anger, the missing homework still has to get done. Tonight. And I want you to know that lying to me always makes things harder, not easier. Because now, I have to check. I don't want to have to check. I want to be able to trust what you tell me. That trust is something you build back slowly by being straight with me going forward. This last part is the accountability piece. It names a consequence, the parent will now be verifying homework, without it feeling like punishment delivered in rage. It names the damage to trust without weaponizing guilt, and it gives the child a clear path to rebuild that trust over time, which is far more motivating than a punishment with no exit. There's one more layer worth addressing. Some children become chronic homework liars. It becomes a pattern that repeats week after week, regardless of what the parent says. When this happens, the conversation needs to go a little deeper. Sit down on a weekend, away from the heat of any specific incident, and say this: I've noticed that homework has become something you really avoid. I'm not angry about it right now. I just want to figure out together why school feels like something to escape from. Because if something is going wrong there, I want to know. That conversation, the one that treats the lying as a signal rather than a character flaw, is the one that gets to the root. Sometimes what surfaces is boredom. Sometimes it's social anxiety at school. Sometimes it's a specific subject that has become genuinely confusing and the child doesn't know how to ask for help. The lie was never really about the homework. It was a flag, and the parent who reads it as a flag rather than a crime is the one who actually helps. Children who feel safe enough to say, I don't want to do this, or I'm really struggling with this, don't need to lie. The goal is not a child who never avoids hard things. The goal is a child who doesn't have to hide the avoidance from the person who can help them most. Say it calmly the next time it happens. I'm not going to yell. Tell me what actually happened. That sentence opens more doors than any punishment ever could. If this video helped, hit the like button. It helps more parents find this channel when they need it. And subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now here's the comment question for today. Did you ever lie to your parents about having no homework when you were a kid? What was the real reason behind it? Drop it in the comments below. Parents here will find it eye-opening and honestly, a little bit relatable.